Welcome to the War Team's Entrepreneur Foxhole Podcast. Your host, Ben Williams. Your host, Martez Sims. Where military veterans in business discuss critical issues to win on the battlefield of entrepreneurship. Ruck up and rock steady.
Alrighty, we're back for episode 4 of the Entrepreneur's Foxhole. I am excited about my guests. They're both amazing women. They do so many different things in so different ways. And especially I'm really honored because they're in my company. And I have the honor to introduce as my guest, Miss Aileen Soto, who is the president of WCR.
Thank you, Ben. Yes. Hi, everyone.
Okay. And I have the vice president or the president-elect. Which one do you prefer?
President-elect is the official term.
President-elect, Miss Edna Perez.
Yes.
Tell me about WCR. What is WCR? And what led you to start your journey with WCR?
Great question. I guess I could start with that. The Women's Council of Realtors is the second largest realtor organization in the country. It was founded in 1939 by 19 women across the country because they wanted to have the right to practice real estate alongside the men. And so if you think about it, it goes back a lot of decades. So there's a lot of history within the organization itself. The El Paso chapter itself is one of 22 to 24 networks because there's a few being chartered. And our mission is to empower women, advance women in the real estate industry and in the communities that we serve, because that's how it started in the 1930s, a women's organization. And now we've grown to be the second largest after the National Association of Realtors.
Wow.
And so that's the basis of it. It's mission and vision. But we've grown now, and we do have 10% of our membership as men. And so we are no longer just exclusive for women. We actually have never been. It's always been an allyship thing. So that's what Women's Council is about and why I was drawn to it.
And so what led you to WCR?
So I attended a planning retreat with an agent that was in our office, Karen Polanco. She was the president at the time. And when she spoke about Women's Council, she just lit up. She spoke about events that helped women, events that helped animals. She did an event with Animal Services of El Paso, and I just saw her vision, and I just thought that's definitely something I want to be a part of.
Okay. So from my perspective, and I've always played around with it, like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from WCR, I'm gonna stay away from it, right? But it's not really. I just joke around with that. I've noticed your growth. I've gotten to witness it. I've gotten to witness your growth too. I think it's a couple of years back. I don't know if you remember this or not. I said, man, I see you at state, national leadership way.
Oh, yeah, I remember that very clearly.
And I just saw that. I've always saw that with her. And recently, which you just joined the company. I guess my question to both of you guys, and either one you can answer the question, is where do you see yourself going, and how does WCR probably contribute to your path that you're on with leadership and real estate and and everything that comes along with WCR? Because I think it embodies much more than just real estate. But I get to see that maturation, I should say, especially with you and especially with her. Where do you see yourself kind of taking this?
You want to answer that first?
So I definitely see myself growing into state leadership and, like you said, national leadership. I think it's very important for me as a woman, as a Latina in this industry, to make sure that we have a seat at the table. Women's Council has really, really opened my eyes in that space. The reason being is I was able to travel to out-of-state and even in-state conferences that really, really opened my eyes to what the market is outside of El Paso. I love my city. I was born and raised here, but we are a border town, and I think our culture is very unique, which I love. But when you go out there to bigger cities, to Chicago, we're traveling to Washington, D.C. Next month, it just really it just really opens up the stage of what leadership can do in this industry.
Okay. I love it. Love it. Love it.
And I mean, yes, what Edna said for me too, I see it that way. And I also see it. What I value the most out of Women's Council so far for myself is the leadership aspect of it, the organizational aspect of having to follow Robert's rules and conducting board meetings and making sure that you're following the procedures the way that they should, because this is the way that you can learn how bigger organizations behave and work, right? The way they operate is through boards. And so if that's something that interests you as an agent or as an individual in a community who wants to make a change, then this is one of the pathways you can take to get you to learn the leadership skills that will get you to eventually maybe work in your own nonprofits or work in your school's boards.
Okay.
Or, the public health is always looking for individuals, and you can help run these organizations because you have that experience, that knowledge, that background to get you to that next level. It doesn't necessarily have to stay in real estate. It can really transmit and, translate into other parts of your life, depending on what your wants and your interests are, right? Your priorities. In my case, I was part of a nonprofit before being part of Women's Council that focused on helping kids learn to read. The illiteracy rates in our country are very bad. And so this program would help kids that were running behind 2 to 3 years in literacy, and they would get them up to date in about 6 months to a year. So this nonprofit for me was one of the things that sparked my curiosity about being involved in boards. I became part of the board as well, but I didn't have the knowledge or the skills necessary to know how to run it or how to be a part of it efficiently. And when I became part of Women's Council is when I started learning, this is how you run a board. This is how you make a motion. This is how you call on a special meeting. This is how you make these decisions that are going to eventually help you push the mission that you were trying to push, right? In a way that is efficient, that is not going to cause conflicts. And if there's conflicts, there's ways to resolve that too. And you learn all of that being part of these kinds of organizations that teach you, that take you by the hand and let you make the mistakes, but then learn from that so that you can become the person that you're meant to be or that you want to be.
And I don't know if this is just the El Paso chapter, if you guys are just, that great, all right? But what I will say is that I have noticed when we have events for realtor events and things like that, and, El Paso does a great job of putting on some good events, but when you go to a WCR event, it's just seemed a little bit better. It seems a little bit more organized. It seems a little bit more structure, right? And that's just from the outside looking in. There's definitely, I used to go back in the day like, it's part of my cult. What's wrong with these people? You know what I'm saying? But now that I have you, I understand that there's behind the curtain, this seems like there's some structure of what you guys are doing in terms of budgetary, in terms of all these different things. And I don't think folks know that. I mean, for a realtor that's, hey, what's WCR and all this other stuff, can you speak to some of the day-to-day operations that you guys are doing, or what's your day like? And let people know this is all voluntary. So
Absolutely.
I don't think they understand that either. You guys are making stuff happen on the backs of volunteer stuff, So day-to-day, what do you guys really do?
Well, we do a little bit of everything. I mean, we have committees. So we function essentially like a mini GEPAR. Think about it like that. We have the president, we have the president-elect, we have our treasurer, we have our first vice president. And so we function in that sense as well. And we also have committees. So we have committee meetings weekly for our events that are coming up. We complete audits for our financing. We have our treasurer who's in charge of making sure she's keeping all of the receipts, our books. We do all of that a typical nonprofit with a board does. And I think this year we've even brought it to a different level because it's not just the 6 officers doing everything. Now we have chairs and we have liaisons. And so our board is made up of 12 ladies that are working together to make these things happen in El Paso. And yeah, you're right, we are better. Other state networks will come to us for advice, will come to us for for just help for the blueprint. What are you guys doing? We're the early adopters of our financing system that we just changed last year, and we're the ones that are teaching now other networks how to use it. So we are a group of very tight-knit ladies, and that's what I'm so proud of the most this year, because we are all very busy. We all are business owners. We all are running our own things behind the scenes of our own businesses that are bringing the money in, right? Bringing the bread, feeding our families. And they still have time to volunteer. And so I feel like we are the super women, the super men of the industry in a way, because we're running things the same way as an association or a local association on its own, and we've kept it running for years. You know, we have presidents like, for example, Elizabeth Leal. She's very known in the industry, and she was our president twice back in a few decades ago, and she's still involved, and she's so eager to share what Women's Council has done for her. And so I feel like these are testimonies of the power that being a community within Women's Council has on not just people's businesses, but also just them personally as an individual, like the growth.
So you touched on it, but I'm going to throw it over to you and pass the baton over to you. What sets El Paso WCR apart?
I think one of the things that sets us apart is the culture that we have here. I think, the culture in El Paso, we are a big family. And I think that we welcome each member. We welcome the part of the board. Even when we go to out of El Paso conferences, we are constantly hearing that, oh, you guys are so close. Oh, we dress up alike, and we make sure we travel together. We make sure all of that. So I think that is also an El Paso thing. But I think it also stems from the top of the leadership, right? I think that the leaders that we have are leading by example, leading in the sense of making sure they communicate, making sure they make our board meetings a safe space, making sure that everything is seen in a positive light. And I think that's what makes the difference. There's conflict, like in any organization, right? But it is always handled in the right way, with a lot of grace, with a lot of honesty. And I think that's one of the things that sets us apart, is that we are all tied to the vision, and the leadership overall keeps us accountable for that.
Okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
If you could only choose 3 leaders in WCR that impacted you the most in terms of how you see or the trajectory of your career, who are those people?
Within Women's Council?
Within Women's Council.
Okay.
Because I hear the name, because, Elizabeth Leal, right? Mm-hmm. One of the first people I ever met in real estate.
Yes.
And I see so many past presidents. Jennifer Stroviesca, tons. And I always wonder, like, from sitting in your seat, was there somebody locally or state or nationally that you kind of sat back and said, okay, yeah, this person has some form of influence, and I liked what they're doing. I mean, I could follow that person. Is there? Could you pick your top 3? I know we got a lot of good people, but
yes.
Could you pick your top 3?
Yes.
And speak to them.
Okay. Okay, so definitely Elizabeth Leal. Definitely, absolutely. Because I think her conviction for Women's Council is unequivocally to none. I mean, she has been a member for a really long time. She continues to support us, to come to every lunch and learn, to bring items for us to donate and to do any of the events that we're doing. And I think just her conviction is just so inspiring. I wasn't part of Women's Council through her years, but I just have a lot of respect for her. The second person would be how I was introduced to Women's Council, which is Karen Polanco. I think the reason for that is because, again, her conviction, her loyalty to Women's Council. She has also, she was the president when I met her. It was her year here in El Paso locally. And then she has now moved on to positions in the state. And I know that she will continue to grow in that. Many of you know that she went through a horrible very personal year. And she continued to stay true to Women's Council. She continued to push it, and she continued to just really, really support Women's Council and support Aileen. And I think that's why I would choose her as my second.
Okay.
Karen.
And my third person is Aileen.
Oh,
And
Yes.
don't make me cry. Don't make me cry.
start crying together.
And I think simply for the reason that I have, like you mentioned, I have definitely seen your growth. I think you have a beautiful story, and I think that you have been able to do amazing things.
She's going to cry. She's going to cry.
You have done amazing things at such a young age, and I think that I've seen you share your story, and I've seen what that does to a room.
Good.
So that makes me very, very proud of you.
Don't even. Oh.
That's why I left you for last, so I could,
Okay.
get myself together.
Well, now I need to get myself together. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, first, when I first got involved in the board, the state president back then was Patty St. Louis, and I think she was one of the first inspirations I got for being part of Women's Council, because she also went through such a hard time as being president of the state. The same year, the same month, or I think even the same week that she was installed as the state president, her husband passed away.
I remember that.
It was
remember
very
that. I
emotional.
remember that.
Yes. And she still stuck to it. Like going through that grief, she still pushed through, and she still made her year a successful one with Women's Council. And I'm not saying like it didn't matter to her or anything like that, right? I'm just admiring her strength, her perseverance, her resiliency. And I mean, it must have been so hard, and I can't imagine. And so she's one of my like heroes, like, you know, the ones at the top that I'm like, oh. So she definitely planted that seed and made me realize that when you believe in something and when you have something that you're passionate for, it will help you get you through even the hardest times. And so that was Women's Council for her, and that inspired me. And then Karen, that lady, she's amazing.
She is.
She is. She is so hardworking, and she's on top of it, and she figures it out, and she goes through it like a rock star. And you wouldn't even know that she's having a hard time unless you really know her. But because she's always pushing through, and she's so optimistic and bubbly, and her passion is contagious, you know? And so, yeah, she would be my second one. And then I have to give it to Edna, too.
Oh, my goodness. Where's the tissue? Who's cutting a
Tissue.
Because, oh, my God, her heart is just so big.
It is.
And she gives herself to everything and everyone that she cares about. And sometimes to the point where it's unhealthy for her.
I can testify to that.
You know that.
Yes.
But she's a rock star. Like, she gets shit done. And she has such a big, like, she will sit there and hold your hand while she herself has her house burning. Like, she's beautiful. And you have a beautiful soul. You have such a supportive personality. And you're funny as hell.
Thank you. Remind Luis how funny I am, please.
Luis, she's hilarious, okay?
Yes, thank you, my
And the bond that we've built this year, and the one that I know we're going to build next year, because I'm still going to be there for you when you're president.
Yes,
like,
you
you got me for life. So, yeah, she's my girl.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So, I got two questions. All right. So you take one and you take the other one.
Okay.
All right. First question is, what's the big picture? Where do you see the chapter going in the next year or two? And what's the vision?
Okay. So the big picture is to continue to support our members, grow our membership, obviously. But more than that is really continue to bring big events, big inspirations. Part of what we do is give scholarships to our members to travel outside of El Paso, which I'm very, very passionate about, because that's what helped me open my vision.
Okay.
So I'm really huge on that, making sure that our members feel seen and valued so that they can continue carrying on, and in turn, our membership will grow.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I guess you go take the last one. Last question is, okay, I'm excited. Everybody watches this and they say, okay, well, hey, that's amazing. How do I get involved?
That's easy. You can just go to our Facebook page and see our upcoming events, or reach out to one of us and we'll have a conversation, because it's a matter of making sure that we are aligning with your priorities. And so as agents, we all have different types of lifestyles, different types of schedules. And so I would invite you to visit our website, WCR.org, to get a big picture idea, explore what's in there. And then, like I mentioned, go to our Facebook page, Women's Council El Paso, or go to our Instagram page, reach out to Edna, to me, to Ben, because he can just direct you to us. And yeah, come to our events. We are having a mixer next week, May 14th, at Cactus Owl. And we're going to have a food truck there. We're going to have live music. We can chill, talk about what your priorities are and how we can help you get involved, how you can get involved with our events. And so, yeah, just come talk to us. We'd be happy to guide you in the right way to become a member, be part of the community.
All righty. Well, thank you guys for sharing your journey. I appreciate you. Thank you. I know I bugged you guys to get you on here, but thank you. This is episode 4 of the Entrepreneur Foxhole. If you know someone with an amazing story, especially a veteran, we would love to get you in the Foxhole. And until next time we speak, this is the Entrepreneur Foxhole signing off. Peace.
Thank you.